Hi there, welcome to my channel. So I have a big thing to talk about. It's kind of a big revelation about my own self. You could say in some self-realization. A friend helped me reach to this conclusion. So giving you some background for this, what I'm about to say next. In my campus placements, I was placed at a very good company last year when I was applying for interns. It was one of the highest paying companies in India, and I was amongst the first few students to get selected. So I did not have any problem getting selected on campus. I did believe my competitive programming was good enough to clear interviews. And this year again, when I was sitting for the full-time placements, I again got selected in a very good company. My internship did not go through because of COVID, so I had to sit for the placements again. And I got selected in a very good company, and I was amongst the first few students to get selected, so that boosted my confidence more, and that also kind of made me feel and be confident about the fact that my competitive programming, that my logical thinking is good enough for interviews at least. I did not think that there was a problem with that, and I did not think that my interviews could be problematic. Interviews was something I was still comparatively confident with. Now, this came to me as a surprise when someone said this to me, that for one of the companies, that my competitive programming is not good enough. I was shocked. I did not want to believe it at first, but then I did a mock interview with someone, and that really opened my eyes. Alright, so I do never claim that I'm a very good competitive programmer, but I was told that competitive programming and interview programming are not the same. So I have spent a lot of time thinking that they're exactly the same, and when I was told that they're not really the same, I was confused, to say the least. I was unsure what was meant by it, and I was unsure of the truthfulness of the question. I did the mock interview, and it really answered all the questions for me, and I'm here to explain it. Alright, so now competitive programming is taking it to a all new level. It is going way beyond just normal logical solving. It's going to the to as much depth as possible, and to find the best competitive programmer. The question level difficulty increases as soon as the people become very skilled at solving them, and they keep increasing both the sides of it till you reach equilibrium. And this keeps getting increased every year. So there's a programmer called Gennady Korotkevich. I hope I took the name right. His handle name is called Tourist, and he's one of the world's best competitive programmers. So a lot of people come up, they easily are able to solve the questions, the question level difficulty hence increases, and this keeps happening. So it's kind of endless race, and till some point it would keep increasing more and more. I was intrigued by it a few years back, and I did try it, but somehow I did not have that drive in me to keep continuing it and keep pursuing competitive programming with a full-time commitment or passion. I never did that. However, I was good at my college DSA and ADA courses, which were data structure and algorithms, and algorithm design and analysis. So I got a 10 CGPA in both of them, and I think I even got an A+ in one of those courses. So I felt that I was well equipped for the interviews, right? But I was not. Turns out that the mock interview made me completely and firmly believe that if an interview was totally focused on competitive programming, or totally focused on the way interviews are taken, if they want to focus on coding, if there are like 5 or 6 rounds of interviews, there's a high chance that I might not be able to make it. Now, why would I say that? Well, I'm confident. I don't really have a problem in speaking and communicating with the interviewer. So what's wrong then? Well, I am good at doing things at a time. If you teach me a concept and try to evaluate me based on that in the near future, I'll do it well. Even when I had the course, it was all within a period of 4 months, right? I was taught Dijkstra, I was taught different kinds of trees, I was taught DFS, BFS, I already said Dijkstra, even other things like MinCut, MaxCut, or MinFlow, and a lot of other problems. I was taught all of those things. I was also asked to apply them to competitive problems, and I did all that well. But ever since the course ended, in my real life, in my research career, in my normal problem solving for everyday things, so I do have written a lot of code in the past for either for open source or for normal problem solving or for some research problems. I never used a BFS, a DFS, a Dijkstra, or dynamic programming. These were just some things that I would only end up using if it was a competitive programming question or if it was very evident that I need to use it. Otherwise, I never used it. I realized that in the mock interview, I solved a question. I was able to do it with my logic. That's how I solve all the questions. I just try to figure out the logic. I can build complex logics, so that's thank God I have that ability, and I also did abacus in my childhood, so I do attribute my visualization skills to that. So I can visualize complex solutions and I can come up with the logic for that. But I did that. So one of the problems I was not able to solve, it was a dynamic programming problem, but I could not visualize dynamic programming being applied to that problem. So I discarded dynamic programming as one of the solutions, and at the end it turned out to be that only. In the other problem, I did logically reach the solution. It took a lot of back and forth, and it took a lot of handling of edge cases, but I was able to do it, and I was very proud about myself for doing that. But it turned out that there was a much easier way to do it. Easier, well, that's subjective, but there was a much more known and common way of doing it. It was a DFS. It did not seem like a DFS problem to me at all. There was no graph. There was no edges as such. I was thinking about things as a function, and I was coming up with logical relations. But as soon as you think, this idea was very difficult, very non-intuitive in my opinion. Not difficult, but non-intuitive, at least for me. As soon as you model the problem as a graph problem, things change. Applying DFS to solve what I did with all my logic just made sense in an instant. It was really nice that I was able to come up with a logical solution, but it required a lot of to and fro. It required a lot of me trying to explain the interviewer why I have this intuition and why should this work and how do I handle these cases and what happens. And for the interviewer to not have thought of that as a possible solution and to check each and every step and check if everything matches. Instead, if I was able to come up with a DFS solution, it would have saved a lot of time. The interviewer already knew how to do it. If that thing just clicked to me, then it would have been a much smoother interview, and the interviewer also would have had a better experience at interviewing me. He'd have thought that this guy is very smart and he thinks of solutions very fast. Now, the thing that I realized from all this was that while my data structures were strong, while my algorithms were strong, they were limited to the time when I learned it. I did try to learn the applications for it, but I did not focus too much into it. I could apply it during that time, but not further afterwards. But in my opinion, software engineering does require these things, so I am kind of comfortable with stacks and queues, but I have never used heaps other than my courses. I'm not very comfortable with it, to be very frank. all the famous algorithms, BFS, DFS, I've never used them in a non-trivial way. But I realized that there are simple problems which, modeled in these ways, can give fantastic solutions. They can guarantee you the time complexity, you already know how it works, and explaining it becomes that much more easier. So I figured out that this is my weak spot. I need to figure out how to model problems in these simple yet very efficient data structures. How to model these problems into simple yet very efficient algorithms. And third, how to identify things like dynamic programming, which might not be very simple, a little bit complicated, but yeah. And these are asked in interviews, right? So in interviews, it's unlikely that someone asks you, say, something like, what do you call it? Some complex data structures like AVL trees, for example, or red and black trees, or very complicated, very specific data structures made to solve a problem very efficiently. But these very generic data structures like a normal binary tree, or say a heap or a stack or a queue, or a linked list, these are used very often. So I personally need to master how to use these skills in problems. Now, till now, I had been focusing on solving mainly LeetCodeEasy problems because they were easy for me to do, and that made making the videos and trying to explain it simpler. But I'm gonna go on a journey now where I'm gonna try to focus on LeetCode medium and hard problems, because I want to help even my viewers evolve this skill of theirs. I want to think out loud, and this is gonna be a journey. This is not gonna be a 2-day or a 1-month thing where I'm trying to teach you something. This is a journey that I'm gonna make with you guys, and in the future it might really benefit someone seeing how I came from this point to the point I would in the future, right? And I want to go on this journey together. I think we can do it, and I think all we need to do is just do a little bit of practice, a little bit of thinking, trying to figure out how to put things in places, and this would really help people who feel that they're not there yet but they want to achieve there. I'm sure we're gonna become much better than what we are starting off today, and I would try my best to help along the way, try my best to help along all the basic data structures, basic algorithms as succinctly, as clearly as possible, and also a major thing, how to identify problems, where you want to put that, and how to put them, how to use them efficiently, and how to make the best use of it in your interviews, not just the interviews but also your life and your normal coding practices and wherever you're doing your job in the future, or currently for that matter. And this is not going to be a competitive programming channel, so I'm not going to focus on optimizing to the last bit. I'm not going to focus on using C++ instead of Python because it's a tad bit faster. It's maybe 100 times faster to do the basic operations. No, I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on the concepts. I'm going to focus on why they matter. I'm going to focus on the basic data structures, how to use them efficiently, why do they matter, how to go ahead with them, and not going to involve a lot of complex stuff or things which might not be so straightforward. I want to show you the beauty of these simple data structures and simple algorithms like BFS and DFS. And why I call them simple is because there are much more complicated algorithms out there. These are comparatively easier to understand, and we can go over it again. We can go over all these algorithms if they seem hard to you. Just write down in the comments below and I'll be happy to explain any of the basic algorithms like BFS, DFS, Dijkstra, or any similar one. And I want to explore the power of these. So we're going to focus mainly now on LeetCode medium or hard problems, and also gonna focus on building these skills, building these basic data structures, algorithms, and we can also go over the concepts whenever you guys like. So thanks a lot for sticking with me till now, and hope to give you a lot of wonderful content in the future. Thank you. Bye bye.